Hey guys, Spartan here for March 1st, 2022. Let's talk about today, first day of the month. And today I came into the market and I tweeted it out. I thought we'd have more of an inside day. I ended up being a little bit of an outside day, I guess, because we broke the last day's low, but mainly looking for us to stay within last week or last Friday's range, which we primarily did. Now, the reason why I thought it would be choppy at State of the Union, obviously I'm going to be happening today, so I figured at the end of the day it'll probably pin the market somewhat, as well as the beginning of the month, but we had EMA resistance to the upside. Typically, when you have a large resistance to the upside, it's hard to break through it intraday. It's much easier to gap above it and then get continuation higher if you're going to have an have an outside day. So that was the thought process there. Market ended up pushing this morning. We played a couple things on the long side, and then I figured if we do get to last day's highs, we'll probably get a rejection and probably a pullback within the range, which we did end up getting. It did end up pulling through the bottom end of the range, which is a little bit more than I thought, but we did play primarily it on the correctly. A couple things that we did take today. We did do Tesla long out the gate on the equity side from the 874 level, which worked out quite nicely. We did a little bit of coin long at 291. We scalped it to the upside of the 205.88, so almost a 5-point trade. Pretty decent trade there. We did GDRX short, which worked out nicely. Out the gate, you ended up seeing it sell off. We did Zoom long at 129.89 this morning, got a nice pop to the 136s, and we actually sold some on that initial pop and rolled it at the same time into the 145 calls, which we were able to get a nice little scalp on that. But overall, Zoom was a pretty decent trade out the gate, and then obviously got that fade after. We did some RTX long at RSX long this morning out the gate with a tight stop at 950s, and we ended up getting stopped out of that one. So that ended up not working. The EPAM we did take long out the gate as well with a 195 stop, which hilariously we threaded the needle there, right? Really close to that stop. We ended up holding it all day. And we got a nice, ended up getting a nice push to the 230s. We had it at 213.29, and then we ended up selling the rest when we couldn't break that 227 at the end of the day there. And it was actually the right decision because it started to pull back. So that was a good little exit there. HD, we were long this at 218s. Sold this into the 318, sold this into the 321 area. Decent little trade there. We did some IRT long today out the gate. Had some long added into it, and then basically kind of just came back and faded off. So didn't really go like we wanted to get to 592. Didn't end up getting to that spot. So unfortunately, that one didn't get that much follow through on that. We also had, let's take a look. Another one that didn't work out was LITM. We had at 670 with a tight stop at 625. That ended up getting stopped out on that. And then we did some Coop long at 129.10. This ended up being an okay trade to the upside. We made about a point and change on that. We did DPZ, scalp at 442 into the 448s. We ended up getting about 6 points on that trade. It was nice. SC, we did a short on that from 129.14 on this initial pull right here into that 126 area. Ended up getting out most of it at around 127 and stopped out the rest at the entries. And then lastly, we tried some GDRX end of the day on the long side, which we got about 10 cents on it. Move stops to our entries. And then it just stopped us out at the entries there. AMD, we tried this on the short side. We ended up just getting out of it flat. We did a couple scalps on Tesla intraday. 2 worked, 1 didn't work. We did some DWAC long at 94.91 on that spike. Sold most of it on the pop into the spike there, into that 96 level, and then we ended up exiting the rest of that position and rolling into some calls. And we ended up actually exiting those calls flat because it didn't really do anything. So on the equity side, pretty high hit rate as usual, especially in a choppy tape like today. It was very difficult to trade, especially on the option side. But let's go over those trades as well. So right out the gate, we tried some Facebook. That didn't work out. We ended up getting stopped out of that starter, the 215s. I was looking for a pop out the gate, but obviously, we got failure. We got the Zoom on that roll, which we talked about, which worked out nicely. We were in LMT 460 calls right out the gate, and those ended up working nicely. We were in them at 190, and obviously you can see that the calls got fairly close to being in the money, but the 460s worked pretty darn good. So that was a good little trade there. What else did we do? We had a couple of interesting ones. Coin, we did a roll, the 220s. That ended up, just not working out, that roll. But it was, paid for by profit, so okay little trade there. We did some Workhorse, which I also did tweak this trade out. The 350 calls, which worked out quite nicely. And we're still holding those. They're up to about 200% change. And then we also did a roll into the 4 calls and for March, and we're holding those at the moment. This morning we also did some Walmart, the 140 calls, Walmart 140s, which was a pretty decent trade. I mean, it was about 25%, 30% on that. So not terrible. We did CVX 155s on a scalp. Again, not a bad little trade there for about 30%. Laser, we did 16 calls. We ended up getting out of those flat at the end of the day. We had some LMNT 500 rolls, which we ended up getting out for about 10%. We did some BABA 11250s, which worked out nicely this morning for about 45, 50%, I believe. We did some Alcoa, so AA. We did 90 calls, which worked out nicely for 100% change. And then we also did a roll into the 95 calls, which ended up not working. And that was about a quarter size roll. So it was a small amount of profit that we rolled into those calls. A couple of the names that did work. Teladoc, we tried the 85 calls, didn't end up doing anything. We did some Roblox Lottos, which didn't end up working. And then we had some Amazon as well, which didn't end up working. A couple other things that we did do that worked. We did some Etsy 170 calls, which worked out nicely. We did SPY puts, BA puts, which worked out. And then we also did some SPY calls at the end of the day, which we scalped for 15%, which was okay. Nothing too major there. But overall, it was mainly a day of kind of patience, waiting for your spots. I would say more of a boring day to trade on the option side, just because it was so range bound, and you had to just wait. But I think we did a good job of primarily waiting for the right opportunities. But yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow, guys. Market did close above the support on the monthly, which is at 428 level. It is set up to bounce a little bit, depending upon what happens with the State of the Union. I guess tonight we'll see what's talked about there. I would expect the market to move on it, especially as well on what happens overnight with the Ukraine situation. So if that starts to escalate, obviously we could expect more volatility in the market. One thing about the VIX is it did close out strong, so that's notable as well. Take a look at the daily on the VIX. It's not necessarily extended at all. It might open up a little extended tomorrow, depending upon where it opens. But yeah, again, we'll see what happens. Uptrends intact, it is technically flagging. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. We do the reviews every single day. So if you want to tune in to those, you can watch them on YouTube. Tomorrow we do have the pre-market open to the public. And you can come in there, check out the pre-market watch list that we go through, SPY, FANG, etc., etc. And if you guys do have any questions, you go to SpartanTrading.com. We do stream every single day from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. And Discord chat is on 24/7. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. See you guys.